Carolina Warrior TV. I'm Chaz Brun. We're here at Fight Lab 14. We've got a great show coming up where hopefully this will be your one-stop source for your news and information. I've got a great warrior here beside me, reigning Fight Lab Promotions featherweight champion, a young man who's had titles from two parts of the state. He goes by the Kid. Mike, the Kid Powell. Welcome, buddy.
How we doing, man?
I'm doing all right. You know, you've been in this position over a year now, that you're waiting. It's almost time to get in that cage. What's going through the guys' heads right now?
You know, there's some of them that are pacing from their nerves. There's guys that are sitting there taking naps. I prefer the latter of the two, but you know, it just depends. There's questions that they want answers for that they have to wait to find out.
Are you ready to get back in the cage sometime soon?
It'll be a little while, but yeah.
All right, we got 8 fights coming up. We got 3 pro fights, and then we got 1 amateur championship coming up later on. But right now, we're going to talk to some of the guys.
Good group of guys with me out there at Joe Hurst. But I think I got like three guys that are 170 and above, and lots of jiu-jitsu guys I can roll with anytime. They keep the pressure on me pretty constant, you know. Not really a lot of breaks. Try not to take breaks in between in rounds, you know. Too long of breaks anyway, like 30 seconds in between rounds. So and then we do like 3-hour sessions. So it's been pretty rigorous. Like this past week though, kind of a wind down week, you know, heal your body up, and also, you know, you don't really want to be going real hard when you're cutting weight.
Everything I train for, I push hard. So I mean, my game plan didn't really change all that much. You know, I go out there to win. You know, I do whatever it takes. Being with Team Joe Hurst Jiu-Jitsu with Brian Keller and Mike Osborne, Tommy DiBernardo, and Mike Powell, they really got me prepared. They push me, you know, every day, 3-hour sessions, you know, 3-4 days a week, and then I run on my own, do circuits on my own.
I'm now joined by Rich Wyatt, syndicated MMA writer here in the Carolinas. Let's take a look at the pro side of the card. There's a lot of star power going on over there.
Absolutely. You've got 4 really talented lightweights competing tonight. You got Keith Rockstar Richardson. He's been on a little bit of a layoff, but Keith is really explosive. Could probably compete at featherweight if he wanted to, but has really done good things at lightweight, and I expect him to come out really strong tonight, put on a good show against Mark Corum. You've got Ronnie Rogers competing as well tonight. Ronnie's a really exciting fighter from South Carolina, has a big following down there. Ronnie's going to be competing against a guy here in North Carolina, Brian Keller. Brian's competed many times at welterweight, and he, I feel, is coming down to what really is his natural fighting weight at 155, and I'm looking for him to do big things. That's going to be a potential fight of the night.
Let's take a look as we flash up some of the rankings on the screen. You guys released both your pro and amateur rankings for March. You got a couple of guys on that list. You got Josh Lennings, who's rated number 2 in the pro heavyweights. You got Nick Smith, who's number 4 in the amateur welterweights. Ricky Rainey, who's fighting Ben Perry, is listed at number 2 in the amateur lightweight classification. What do these guys bring to the table?
Well, we'll start with Ricky Rainey, who has been one of the elite light heavyweight prospects in the region. Ricky fights out of Renegade Boxing in Gastonia, has explosive hands, throws combinations really well, crisp combinations. Was a great athlete, played collegiate football as well, and really is poised to finish up a great amateur run and go into the pros. He's coming down to 185 tonight, which is probably his natural weight, and he's fighting Ben Perry, who there are large middleweights, and then there's Ben Perry, who's like 6'6". Yeah. And so that one is going to be a great fight to kick things off tonight. Then you've also got Josh Lenning, who is number 2 at pro heavyweight with us, and Josh really puts pressure on guys. Guys tend to like to get in a rhythm, and Josh really comes out putting pressure. That can be bad if you leave yourself open to counters, but Josh has a lot of durability. He's able to take shots, has fought a high-quality caliber of opponents thus far, and is really poised, I think, to break out tonight here in Charlotte against a really tough, hard-hitting opponent, Mock McMullins. Mm-hmm. And then you've also got Nick Smith fighting for a welterweight amateur title. I think 170 is a good weight for Nick. He's about 6 feet tall and a really good size welterweight. And I think that size advantage is going to really help him against Roy Hughes, who is maybe 5'9". And I think we're going to see a really good, exciting fight there.
Taking a look at the amateur title fight going on, Nick Smith versus Roy Hughes Jr., there's a lot of knockout power there.
Yeah, there's always knockout power at welterweight. They've got the ass to move around, and they know how to do it. Roy's a little bit more of a brawler. and Nick's out of Renegade now, so he's real crisp, and he's an amazing wrestler. You saw it with Micah Lale. You know, Micah's never been dominated like that, and I think that kind of woke the world up to what Nick Smith, Mr. 15, 16, 150, there it is. Mr. 16, 150 can actually do here.
We're going to find out he's going to have a large contingent, as usual, who should be up here. Guys, Mike, Rich, thank you very much. We'll get you guys' opinion later on. All right, we're just getting started here. We'll talk to the man who put together tonight's fight. Also, we'll talk to Nick the Vanilla Gorilla Smith as he defends his lightweight title.
In that cage, and they risk a lot. You can go in there and get embarrassed and humiliated in front of a whole bunch of people.
Now here's your combat calendar for the month of May.
Welcome back, everybody. So you're out there training, doing all the jits, you're doing all the boxing, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I can step in the cage. Who do I need to talk to? Well, thankfully enough, we have the man right here, the matchmaker for Fight Lab Promotions. We have Mr. Mike Cornbread Allen. So I'm out there fighting, I'm doing all this training. What do I need to do to get inside the cage?
First, you need to have a record of some sorts, at least for Fight Lab you do. I'm not a fan of putting debut fighters on the card. I get a bunch of texts, emails, faxes telling me how great their fighters are, probably 500 a month. You know, tell me they're going to be the next UFC champion. And so, you know, I never take someone for their word. So you need to be able to prove yourself. As far as tangibles and skill sets, you know, you need to, number one, you need to have cardio. I see a lot of guys that have great skill sets. You know, they're awesome wrestlers.
Get winded.
Yeah, they get winded, and then in the first round, you know, they're gassed, and then it's an early, you know, removal from the bout. So, you know, you need to have some cardio. You need to have some wrestling background. You need to have some jiu-jitsu background. You need to have some striking. You need to be well versed. Now, that's to get on a Fight Lab card. You could probably get on the Chitlin circuit if you got a pair of trunks and gloves and like a really cool nickname.
I don't have one of those yet.
You have a cool nickname?
No, I don't.
Chaz, Spaz,
No,
Bryant.
I don't want one. The pros are returning to Fight Lab for the first time this year.
Yeah.
What's so unique about this sixth group of men coming up?
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to be 6 today. It's going to be 4. We lost Mont McMullins and Josh Lynn in the heavyweight main event, so therefore Mark Quorum and Keith Richardson will be the main event. And then Ronnie Bam Bam Rogers and Brian Keller. The most unique thing about the 4 of them is that when you look at the 2 matchups, you got polar opposites in each one. You got Brian Keller, very skilled jiu-jitsu player, has won numerous grappling tournaments, and he's taking on Bam Bam Rogers, who is exactly what his nickname says, Bam Bam. I mean, this guy would just as soon sit on top of you and Donkey Kong you as he would armbar you and finish the fight. And then, you know, for Mark Quorum and Keith Richardson, you've got the very skilled striker in Mark Quorum, and you've got the grappler in Keith Richardson. You've got the tall, lanky Mark Quorum. You know, he's every bit of 6'6", and then Keith Richardson's a midget. So, I mean, you know, we got polar opposites, so it's going to be pretty good matchups.
Coming up, you got the title fight coming up. Nick Smith and the Vanilla Gorilla, you predicted a KO, I believe, in the second round.
Yes.
What does Hughes need to do to change that?
He needs to attack, and he needs to attack early. And with a guy like Nick Smith, you know, especially with the rule structure in North Carolina, is sort of tailored to the wrestlers. The Vanilla Gorilla is one hell of a wrestler.
Yes, he
and
is.
he's another one of those guys that would just assume Donkey Kong you, than anything else. So you've got to get your stuff off against this guy. Roy Hughes has got to attack. He's got to attack early, and he's got to attack often. He can't give Nick Hughes a chance to set up those big takedowns and control it on the ground.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much.
Hey,
I don't know if
thank
you're
you,
gonna. I don't know if you're gonna work out on this commentary thing. You're not very good versed in your questions. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Chaz.
Coming up, the lone title fight we have coming up is between Nick Smith and Roy Hughes Jr. But Roy Hughes Jr., he's going up against a lot of guys, not just Nick Smith. It's one-on-one, but before that, he's going up against a whole community.
If there's a buzz you start hearing, try traveling north. Get on I-77, go right around the Lake Norman area, right around there. But it has nothing to do with addresses or geography, but more about a mentality.
So I'm Mr. 16150. I'm originally from 16150. We started it a long time ago, probably 5 years ago. It started off with a small group of guys. We always stuck together, and from our hometown. And everywhere we went, we pretty much represented ourselves and let everyone know where we were from. It created a buzz. As far as the MMA game goes, it just took off like just as much as my MMA career did. I mean, I got Tim Parker and Cody Wells. These guys train up under me and with me, and they bring a war every day in the gym, and they're getting better every day.
And the rise has been quick. Between the group, Nick is in his 4th title fight, and a 5th coming up later on this year. Cody Wells has 2 straight wins, and Tim Parker is aiming for a 2nd win in May.
To have someone that's there that will push you and a brother to you there, to have them backstage before the fights, to have them during the fights in your corner, to have them after you win as a celebration. I mean, honestly, I do it for them. That's the reason I fight, is because of 16150, because of 16150, because of Tim Parker, and because of Cody Wells. I don't want to put on for my family and for my gym and my friends and my town. That's what I do this for.
And he's going to have to put on for Roy Hughes Jr., who's currently on a 3-fight win streak and going for his first title, as he excited the Fight Lab fans back in January after he KO'd Oliver Charles in the 2nd round.
Roy Hughes, he's a different kind of opponent. He is a very dangerous opponent. He was offered the title shot right after he fought on the same day I did, January 29th. I just know he really wants that title bad, so I know he's probably been pushing himself and bringing a war, because everyone wants that title. That's what we're in this for, as amateurs.
But the size of Nick the Vanilla Gorilla Smith could pose a problem for Roy, who's taking on warriors with a smaller frame than the Vanilla Gorilla.
70 weight class. I originally started fighting at 185, but I walk around probably 179, 180, eating whatever I want. So I could fight 185, but the extra 9 pounds isn't nothing for me to cut. It's either be a shark in the goldfish tank is the way I feel at 170. I feel like I'm a lot stronger and a lot bigger than most of the guys there.
The resume of Smith is impressive. 5 opponents with a combined record of 16-12. Men who have combined for 8 title shots. And he's done this with less than a year of cage fighting experience under his belt. But it might have been his first title with Fight Lab versus Mike Aleo that was most impressive.
Man, Mike has been in this game for a long time. He's been fighting since 2009. I've only been doing this for a year. I wrestle and got a good history of wrestling, but I took probably 5 years off from wrestling and didn't do anything actively. I was his 15th cage fight. He was my 5th. I mean, I expected a war. I know how he is. I just figured my wrestling would be too much stronger for him, and I came in the best shape of my life for that fight, so I was ready to push the pace. Bring the mentality that I'm a champion, because that's the way I feel myself. I'm not in this sport just to be an average fighter, so that's why I've took on some of the best guys. I've took on Jeremy Perdue, the #1, 185, still undefeated. Took on Michael Lell. He's one of the top guys in 170. I mean, if you look at my track record and my history, I mean, everyone I fought has had winning records or above. I haven't fought anybody with losing records except I was a debuter, and I scored a knockout in 9 seconds in the first round.
And to go along with those tough fights, there is tough training that goes along with it.
I train like a champion, and I feel like a champion. I train here at the Rock MMA in Huntersville, and I train also at Renegade in Gastonia. And there's nothing but wolves down at Renegade, man. If you can hang out, they got some of the best guys in it. Ricky Rainey, Zach Klaus, Chris Davis, Shane Crenshaw, Cody Wells, Derek Hyatt, all them guys, man, they push you to the limits, and they bring a war every day. So if you can survive a week in Renegade, then most amateur MMA fights don't seem like much to me.
And regardless of the outcome, one thing is for certain. the 1-6 will be in full effect.
Them guys show up and they act crazy and they yell and they cheer and they go wild and they do that on their own will. They don't do that. They do that because of me and because they support me and because they support our cause. But those are the guys that are paying the money and selling out the shows and making the show, shutting the shows down. I mean, I know last time Cornbread had to stop a couple times so they could finish before he could continue on there. But you got to get on your toes and cheer and support these guys because they give everything they got to get in that cage, and they risk a lot. You can go in there and get embarrassed and humiliated in front of a whole bunch of people, and you know it takes a lot of guts to get in there. So they respect that and support and cheer you on.
We would be remiss if we didn't talk to his opponent, Roy Hughes Jr., the ECU student. So here he is earlier today.
We do a lot of preparation, cardio. We just go balls to the wall, like every day, all day. Just straight cardio, smashing tires and all that good stuff. No, we try to make sure we keep it all the same. You know, I'm gonna make sure I do what I need to do in the ring, regardless of who I'm fighting. You know, title or not. I plan on committing, you know, the same intensity, the same moves, just doing what I need to do. Don't really worry about everything else.
Thank you, Roy, for that. Now we have Mike, the Kid Pal, the current champion here in Fight Lab, and we thought let's put him to a little more work. So here he is with his segment, Mike Teaches.
I'm Michael Powell, and this is Adam D. Hart. And today I was asked to show a move right fast before this fight got underway here at Misery Loves Company. And I was going to go over Chaotic. It's a move I've been working on for a little while. It's a variation of an arm bar that we do from standing. And it all comes off this underhook. So whenever I'm here, I've got this underhook. This is a common place. I've got to control his head. Whenever his head starts coming back up because he's afraid of whatever, I'm going to jump. And as I jump, I'm going to rotate over. So I'm coming this way. So whenever you go through it the full way, you're going over and down. Here I have my arm lock and he taps.
So once again, you want to show it again?
So we're going over his head as he's coming up. And we call that a chaotic.
Enough of the talk already. We'll take a look at some of the highlights from Fight Lab 14 just around the corner. Right here, and this is your recap for Fight Lab 14, the Misery Loves Company 4, from the historic Grady Cole Center, just a punch away from Uptown Charlotte. 14 Warriors stepped in the cage and gave it one heck of a show. Here, Burrow was able to get his first win inside this cage, this very cage, 3 months ago. Now he's taking on Shane Crenshaw, but Crenshaw seemed like a man possessed. The striking, punching, Bolo was able to hang in there, and a rear naked choke did him in. Listen to this. That's the voice of the referee. Shane Crenshaw picks up his second win.
All right, I'm here with Shane Crenshaw, who just choked out Sergio Bolo. What was your take on how the fight would go?
We knew he was a good jiu-jitsu guy, and we knew he had knockout power, but wasn't real good at the technique. So we're just stay away from the knockout punches, take him down, control him, and stay away from the submissions. So that's what we did, and it worked out pretty good.
So your wrestling was on point, and if you could change one thing about the fight, What would you have changed to make it more what you were looking for?
I came out kind of sloppy, hit him with a hard right, and I didn't put my hands back up, and he caught me, and I felt it. So he'd have got me a little higher, it might have put me out. So I need to work on my hands, keeping them up, and besides that, just keep on working on the wrestling.
The lone title fight of the night was between Roy Hughes Jr. of Greenville, North Carolina, and the title holder, Nick the Vanilla Gorilla Smith, in his 4th consecutive title fight out of to the fight. The ground is and was Smith's bread and butter all night long, able to take Hughes to the canvas often throughout the duration of the fight, and virtually avoiding Hughes' stand-up. But Smith was able to do his damage on the ground, and it was no mystery that he won majority, if not all, the round. And in a judge's decision, the belt stays around the Vanilla Gorilla's waist.
All right, I'm here with Nick, the Vanilla Gorilla Smith, my main man from where's that place at?
16150. That's 16150 for all you locals.
All right, well, what we've got here is another decision here at the Grady Cole Center, a historic venue. What was that the game plan to come out here, get takedowns, and stay busy on top?
Well, it's always to finish the fight. I've finished every other fight but this one, but I know he wanted the title bad. He was bringing a big war, and this is MMA, man. You ain't gonna win this sport with one punch. So I used my weapons, and I knew it was gonna be susceptible for the takedown. He couldn't shake me on the mount. I mounted him, I think, every round. So that's the way it was. I controlled every minute of every round, complete domination. That's what I'm here for.
Now on to the pros. South Carolina's Ronnie Rogers at 5-5 took on North Carolina's Brian Keller at 4-5. The immediate thing that jumps out to you is the size difference. The stout frame of Rogers to Keller's thinner frame. And Keller would work out some pretty wicked leg kicks on Ronnie. But late in the first round, Ronnie Rogers was able to live up to his nickname Bam Bam, throwing some fists that would rock Keller to the ground. Rogers was able to take Keller's back in a rear naked choke as applied. Rogers would take the win in the first round. Mike Powell talks to Bam Bam backstage.
All right, I'm here with Ronnie Rogers, Bam Bam, and apparently Bam Bam brought a big stick tonight to the Grady Cole Center. What was the game plan coming into the fight?
The game plan was to keep us standing, sprawl and brawl, knock him out. And I got close, I rocked him, and I think that's what happened. He went to the ground, he gave me his back, started pounding him, and I just think he was shook up from that because he didn't try to defend the choke or anything, and that was just unusual with him being, supposedly coming from a high-ranked jiu-jitsu level. So.
Yeah, I trained with Brian, and he had to have been hurt. I've never seen him stop moving, and you reacted appropriately. And I mean, what can you say as far as getting ready for this fight? What would your biggest thing be as far as getting that choke?
We got a new jiu-jitsu instructor at our academy now. He's well known, high level, and he's kind of got an unusual style of jiu-jitsu. It's more logical. It's not just basic, kind of like streetwise almost. So we do a lot of unusual chokes without the hooks in, and almost schoolyard headlocks, if you could say. But that's we just worked that a lot all last week, and his neck was out there, and I grabbed a hold of it.
Rockstar versus the Cowboy, an explosive combination regardless of any sporting activity. But this is even amplified inside the Fight Lab cage, as the Cowboy, Mark Corum, with a pro record of 1-2, meets the Rockstar, Keith Richardson, standing at 3-2 in the pro ranks. The first round proved what he expected out of these two men, fast and furious. But both men did their part in trying to secure a victory throughout all 3 rounds, and it would take all 3 rounds. But Richardson was able to take advantage of his mounts, working on the body and head of Corum. Richardson was rewarded with a victory, improving his record to 4-2.
All right, I'm here with Keith, the Rockstar Richardson. I've watched you fight a few times, and you never cease to impress me. Even with the loss to Joey Carroll, you were still one of the more aggressive and forward-moving fighters that I've ever seen. And I've heard the jokes about the small guy. Do you ever get a small man complex?
Obviously, that's why I'm doing this. I'm proving that every day that what small men can do when they got big power behind it.
Exactly. All right, how did you see this fight going in your camp? Like when you were getting ready, what were you training for exactly out of Mr. Quorum?
You know what happened was basically what we were training for. We had a good game plan going in. He's such a tall fighter. You know, it wouldn't make very much sense for me to stay outside, let him throw hands, let him throw kicks. You know, he's just got so much reach on me. I got to keep it close, got to keep it nasty, keep him clinched, throw bows on the ground, work for the submission. I'm very confident in my jiu-jitsu. Thought I had him a couple of times, but he's a tough guy, class act.
All right, 7 fights in the books here at Fight Lab 14. I'm joined again by Mr. Mike the Kid Powell. Who out there, who impressed you tonight?
You know, honestly, Nick Smith always brings his A game. And, you know, not a lot of people were happy with that fight, but Nick fought smart. And that's what it comes down to. If you're going to be a fighter, you can't finish every fight. And he did work to try to finish. He had Roy rocked a few times. And sometimes you're just going to have to take a decision.
Who stepped up to you, regardless, win or loss? Who do you see out there who said, man, I want to see another one of his fights?
The guy I want to see again, sincerely, I want to see Sergio Bola.
Yeah.
That guy has more heart than most people have ever thought of. You know, and he took a loss, but not many guys are not going to tap if they have that opportunity. He looked for every out he could, and he ended up falling asleep, but it's hard.
The guy who really impressed me, and you'll know this, I saw him up close, Aaron Osborne.
Always.
That first round, we had the shoulder thing going back, and me and Brett are up there on the commentary, and I was like, man, he's getting right tap. He's getting right tap. But he kept on pushing through. That's what you have to do.
You're not gonna get Aaron to tap, and Aaron hits hard. He rocked him. He had the fight in the back, and that cat recovered somehow. That screamed fight of the night at me for some reason, and then, you know, sure, Aaron gets caught in a triangle choke, but somebody's got to lose these fights.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he's on that losing side. Did you enjoy yourself tonight?
I enjoy myself every time I go anywhere.
I thank you for wearing that stupid Pittsburgh Pirates hat, but I love you and respect you anyway, regardless of the hat.
What about my glow-in-the-dark
shades.
sunglasses? That glow-in-the-dark, though.
Can we turn off the light somehow? We'll try to work it out later.
But they glow.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jay.
Thank you, everybody.